Hello everybody. So what's the latest statistics on the impact of coronavirus on the Ottawa real estate market? I'll be delighted to take you through that analysis. My name is Faiz Versey. I'm a real estate broker with LePage, and let's take a look at this situation. So what's happened now in April, and I'm looking at a graph called unit sales, is that we've seen a decline in the activity in April. For those of you who are on my email database, you would have received an email giving you an idea about what was happening in March. Now, for those of you who'd like to stay in touch with me and get my information time to time that I put out, and sometimes I don't always put it on a public platform like where you're watching this now. So just send me an email and let the title of the email be "Send me the info." And then time to time, whenever I send out information, you will get that information. And which is a good idea because, who knows about the future, about this platform. Maybe this platform will be there, or maybe they'll have chucked me off, who knows. So email would be a great way to keep in touch. So my friends, let's carry on. And what happened now in April is that we had this decline in unit sales. We were carrying on just merrily before that. So these blue lines are 2020, the red lines are 2019, the green lines are 2018. So we were carrying on merrily. March was a little bit less than we would have expected, and that was because in the first half of March we still had the normal momentum, and then the momentum started to decline in the second half of March. Why was that? So let me just get into this. What is the whole story behind what we're seeing over here? So this story started, let's say, sometime in early March. Yes, I think I did a video on March 13th when I first time heard about, not first time, but sort of it struck home what is coronavirus, because we had heard that our First Lady here in Canada had tested positive and was in self-isolation. So that woke me up and woke a lot of my friends up. And that's when we started discussing coronavirus, and I did a video on that. You can take a look. And then Government of Ontario declared the emergency on March 17th, I think it was. And that's when things really started to hot up. And so that's when the real estate industry started to send us, we real estate salespeople, a whole bunch of information about how is the business going to work now. And so it was a scary time, I can tell you. There were a lot of uncertainties. So let's just talk about that. I'll pull back the curtain a little bit on what was happening in the real estate fraternity. So I guess like most other communities, maybe across Canada, in the real estate community, we do have a group that is, let's say, well off, a group that is not so well off, and a group that is perhaps struggling more than the others. And so it would have been a real problem if there were an issue that the real estate industry had to be locked down, because we were hearing lockdown across the board, because for the people who are depending on a paycheck every month, what happens if you can't go out and do business? How are you going to feed the family? So folks, we were seeing that issue bubble up in the real estate fraternity, the issue which we have seen now over a time again in the last few weeks of lives versus livelihood. Big issue. So thank God and thanks to the Government of Canada that they jumped in at just the right time, calmed down everybody, the real estate salespeople, the community, general community out there, the consumers. And I think Government of Canada has done a fantastic job. They've probably saved 30 million lives in Canada with all the bailouts that they put out over there. And I just want to say kudos to the Government of Canada, because as I see what's happening around the world, it's terrible. There's a humanitarian crisis in many parts of the world where they're not able to, for whatever reason, the governments or haven't thought about it, not been as proactive, but they haven't rolled out the support to the people and told them to go into lockdown. That's amazing. I mean, there are places around the world where a family of, say, 10 people, daily they go out to make a living. They do some work here, they do some piece job there, they sell a few candles, they make some money, then they buy the food in the evening. And now they've been told to go home and stay home, don't move. And the police is out there and keeping them in their homes. But there's no money for them. How are they going to survive? It's a terrible situation. So, of course, I don't want to take any names. Every country has its own problems. They know what they're doing. We are very lucky where we are in Canada that we are okay. So those of you who have some criticism for the Government of Canada, I would suggest please hold on to it. We'll discuss it later. Yes, I know there's some issues. The borrowing, how we're going to pay all that back. Those are issues for another day. Right now, Government of Canada has saved 30 million lives. Let's be very happy with that. So my friends, what happened in those first 4 weeks was shell shock. What this is showing us, this decline here, shell shock. Nobody really knew what was going on. And in fact, I did a video on March 20th. I think you should go and watch it because there was such a blackout of knowledge, of thoughts, of what's going on. I did that video to try and give people some kind of a roadmap. And it's amazing, the things I talked about, they are pretty much coming true to a T. And if they continue to do that, it'll be the biggest fluke of my life. It won't happen like that, I'm sure, but it's a roadmap of what lies ahead. So my friends, let's carry on with the analysis over here. Let's go to this graph. I'm going to skip a few graphs. If you want more detail on some of the graphs that I've skipped, go to my October 19th video. I've discussed a lot of the graphs in a lot of detail, and it'll be very interesting for you. So I'm going to look now at the average sale price. The average sale price is also showing a decline in April, okay? And it's still above where we were at the beginning of the year. I wouldn't read too much into this, not at the moment, because I think what's happened is that the market has just frozen up because the activity has declined. So this is a misleading information. Don't read too much into it. If this trend continues, that's what we got to see. Now look, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm not trying to say that this is what is going to happen. I'm giving you a reasonable information based on my knowledge and understanding. I'm down on the ground. I live, breathe, sleep real estate. That potentially this is not going to be a downward trend like this. We'll have to see. Maybe it will. I don't know for sure. But it's unlikely. And so I wouldn't pay too much attention to this. Why? Because if the camera can see it here, demand supply. All of economics is about demand and supply. So we have demand up here before the coronavirus. We have supply here. Demand has dropped a little bit because of coronavirus. Supply has also dropped, so we still have this gap. Because of this gap, what we are seeing now, the essential transactions, what we call them, because the whole industry is now focused on trying to get essential transactions done, selling and buying. We're still seeing multiple offers. We're still seeing houses selling above asking. So the activity has not stopped. So I think we will see this recover, and I'll talk a little bit ahead. Okay, I'll come to that when I come to that. Okay, let's carry on. This is an interesting graph, very interesting graph. So this tells us the bulk of the activity in April happened between the price points of 300,000 to, I will need my glasses for this, to 600,000, the bulk of the activity. Some of the activity happened up here, and for those of you on the high end of the bracket, you have a $1 million plus home, $1 million plus home. Just understand, it's very important to understand this because of how to price your property. The activity is much less here, much fewer buyers. And also there was some thoughts and some few things I heard back in March about how the high-end properties, some of the transactions failed. I think, this is my analysis, because of the stock market dropping, because it is possible that people who own houses in this range, because they are well off, have been doing this for a while or whatever their circumstances, they tend to have more of an allocation towards stocks, or they can have more of an allocation towards stocks as compared to the people in this range. People in this range are generally have most of their wealth tied up in their house or in the down payment that they're planning to make. So that's the difference. So when the stock market crashed, a lot of the people in the high end perhaps felt that there's been a reduction in their nest egg. Perhaps it affected down payments. I don't know the whole story, but it could be that that's the reason a number of transactions failed after having come to the point of being conditionally accepted. So those are the important points for people like me who are in the real estate sales business and brokers. When we are pricing homes, we have to take all of that into consideration. Let's carry on, folks. This is showing what? This is showing average selling time. This is coming screaming down. As I mentioned, that there is activity happening in the market, and houses, whatever few there are left that are out there, are going very fast. So let's carry on and see what else we have here. Perhaps we'll talk about, okay, let's talk about this one. What is this one? Inventory absorption rate. Okay, so what this is showing is months of inventory which have increased somewhat in the last month. What does that mean? It actually doesn't mean too much. I'll tell you why. Because we are still in a seller's market. And these blue lines here, these blue bars here, 2020, can show you that we are slightly above this yellow band. So we're still in a seller's market. And this is something that may change. This is what I was going to talk about a few moments earlier, but let me talk about it here. This may change. As the market starts to come alive again, I'll let you know my thoughts on that in a moment. As the market starts to come alive again, we may see more listings. As we see more listings, it's entirely possible that we may come into a balanced market. What's the difference? Seller's market is where right now very few properties, so the sellers have a lot of say in how they want to price the property. It is on a case-by-case basis, so make sure that if you're a seller, that you do engage a real estate salesperson or real estate broker to help you with pricing your property. And then later on, we may come into a balanced market. I don't know. We'll see. Let's see how that goes. Where if there's sufficient properties on the market, then we could see more of a balance in buyers and sellers and the activity that they can engage in. But we'll have to see. People, that's about all that I wanted to share with you. What are my thoughts about what's going to happen going forward with the proviso that I don't know what's going to happen. But hey, let me give you some kind of roadmap. So we are trying to open up the economy. Opening up the economy has become a big deal because it's the knock-on effects, the financial effects, which are becoming unbearable around the world. So there's a lot of pressure to open the economy. And as we open the economy now, a number of questions still come up. Coronavirus, second wave, is that going to happen? We don't know. We'll see. Then as we open up, will the unemployment rate, which has spiked, will that come down? We don't know. Will people want to go back to work? Will they feel safe about going back to work? We'll find out. How about businesses? When they open, are they going to see a rush of people coming in and trying to buy goods? We'll see how that goes. That's also a big question mark. So there's a lot of things we don't know. We'll have to play this by ear, see how it goes, and gently see how things work out. Now, as I'm standing now in April, and I'm standing because I'm doing this video standing up, by the way. As I make this video now in May, we are starting to see. You see, the first 4 weeks, as I mentioned, I may have mentioned this a few minutes earlier, it was shell-shocked. Nobody knows what was going on. But now we are beginning to realize that coronavirus is not going away. And people are thinking, let's get back to work. So we're starting to see more inquiries, more activity. We are still educating the people that let's work with essential transactions until we get more direction from the government. If you have to buy, if you have to sell, yes, we will help you. Maybe you have to rent. Maybe you've been told the place where you live has been sold and therefore you have to rent another place. Maybe you sold something, you have to buy. Maybe you are moving to another country, another city, you have to sell. So these are essential transactions that we can help you with. But let's see how things happen as we go forward. And I've thrown a lot of information at you. If you have questions, please feel free to reach out to me, give me a call, send me an email. I'll be delighted to help you. And friends, be positive. We're going to beat this at some point. Look, the end game. There's an end game here. The end game is the virus. It's the virus. Is the vaccine for the virus. If we can find that vaccine as soon as possible, then things will calm down and we'll start coming back to normal. Until that day, we have to deal with things the way we deal with them as human beings. We adapt. So let's be positive. We're eventually going to beat this. Let's take care of each other. We're all in this together. So my friends, until I speak with you again, take care. Bye-bye.